You know how you take a photo and then you share it with your friends and they're just not feeling it the way that you had hoped? Like when you took the photo was this magic moment, but that's just not coming through in the photo. But imagine you're sharing that same photo and when they see it, everyone's like, wow, they feel that energy in that special moment that you took. Without knowing how to achieve that, it's kind of tough because the average person's brain registers emotion in less than 250 milliseconds from when they see a photo. And it's not your camera, it's your composition. I used to bump into this all the time. I would take landscape photos of mountains and they were literally just a snapshot until I learned how to compose them. And now my photos are kind of cool. So today I'm going to share with you 5 learnings that completely changed my photography composition, making it go from non-existent to pretty solid, even great. Let's get into it. Okay, the first thing here is the rule of thirds and how to use it. This is the most common and easy to adopt composition rule, and I've talked about this before in a previous video about iPhone photos. The main concept here is that your screen is divided into 9 separate parts. You've got 2 lines going vertically and 2 lines going horizontally, like a tic-tac-toe board. Instead of putting your subject dead center or anywhere in the frame for that matter, you'll line them up with one of the grid lines. So for example, of this photo that I took of Spidey at the beach, you'll notice that Spider-Man here is on the right side of that rule of thirds grid. He could have been put in the center, he could have been put in the bottom, anywhere, but our eyes are naturally drawn to this point of the frame, the right, the left, or these access points where the grids come together. It's where your eyes will look, and it creates a more dynamic and curious photo. And it doesn't have to be a human subject. It could be an animal, a tree, a building. And the main subject of that photo, try to get it on one of these access lines, leaving them out of the center. The second composition technique that I want to talk to you about is about adding depth to your photos. It's about making your 2D photo feel 3D. And one of the things that I like to do is create that look, a feeling that you could actually walk into that scene. And it's taken me a long time to really understand this. But for me, my favorite way of achieving this is, again, using the rule of thirds. And what I'll do is I'll put the subject, for example, on, let's say, this lower bottom left third point. And then I'll angle my camera and position myself so that the background, whatever that background is, that is then on the opposite third point. So in this case, with the subject being on the bottom left, here I would put that background or the point that I want the user's eye to land on the top right. And that drives the user's eye to the back, and it makes the photo feel more 3-dimensional. It's super easy to do. All it takes is paying a little attention to the rule of thirds and then positioning your camera or your body to get everything aligned just right. The third composition technique that I think is important for you to consider is just getting low. You can also get high, you can get left, you could get right, but we as humans, we look at this level. Our eyesight is what, 5 feet, 6 feet off the ground, maybe some of us 4 feet, but you're up here. So by putting the camera at a different perspective or angle, you're immediately creating a really cool composition effect that's different than how we normally see the world. This is a photo I just took in Seattle, and I really tried this here. This guy pulled up his bike at a red light. I've got this Space Needle here. I got down on my knees right behind him, angled my camera up, and he actually turned around and looked. He was like, what is this freak doing? This bald guy taking a picture of me like on the ground. And I was like, and I love this photo. It just feels so much more impressive than if I was at eye level taking a photo. Could have done it. Maybe I could have cropped him in here or something like that. This is one of my favorite photos, and I did it all by getting low. Speaking of Seattle, we just held a photo walk there. It was really cool. One of the first events for the big photo hunt that I've ever held. We all learned a ton, and we walked away with great new friendships. We're gonna be doing more of these photo walks in cities near you, so if you have a moment, go over to the big photo hunt and see if one of these events is coming up near you. I would love to have you join, and I'd love to meet you in person for one of our photo walks coming soon. The next composition technique that I'll share with you is the idea of putting something in the foreground. This also adds to this idea of creating depth in the image, which is all kind of part of the idea of photography. Not always, but you know, the idea of making this 2D object feel 3D. There are many ways you could accomplish this. One of the easiest is like putting a bush or something in the corner here. Maybe you can make it blurry so it feels like there's something right there and you're creating depth between your subject and and this bush, so you're creating depth in your photo that way. Maybe there's a vehicle or a building or something that you put in your foreground to separate the front of this picture where you as a human are and your subject. It just makes depth and it makes your composition more dynamic feeling. And the fifth composition technique that I'll add here is the idea of creating frames in a frame. This is the idea of identifying your subject and then literally having a frame in the photo around that subject. This can be explicit, like a window or an archway or something else in a building that actually has walls and goes around your subject. It can also be more implied, like shadows or bushes or shapes or light that is shaping a frame around the individual. But this idea of a frame in a frame makes your photo more dynamic and it draws the viewer's eye right to the subject. It's much better than just having a picture of a subject.
There are so many more composition techniques, but these are a great place to start to make your photos connect better with the people that are viewing them.
I also made a video about some things that helped my photography grow. It's more nuanced and less technical. I'll post it at the end so that you can watch that. I recommend it. Photography is a lot more than just technical skills. It's a mindset and an experience, and I talk a lot about that, the journey that I went on in that video.